Tax collectors and sinners were all drawing near to listen to Jesus, but the Pharisees and scribes began to complain, saying, "This man welcomes sinners and eats with them." Scandal! How could he? If he is the Son of God, he would know better. He would run away from those sinners, right? The sinners have no right to be close to God. Don't we often make judgments like that? Especially when we know that someone has committed a terrible sin or has been away from the church and faith, but now you see him or her sitting in the first pew of your church and receiving Holy Communion. So that's why Jesus addressed them and us this parable about the prodigal son, the parable we all know very well. However, for me, this parable is not so much just about a prodigal son who left his father and lived a sinful life, spending all the money he inherited. This parable is about two of the father's children who got lost. One got lost physically running away from his father, and the other son got lost mentally in his own selfishness, anger, and confusion. This parable is for me about two dysfunctional children. And even though both of them sinned against their father, in return they received the same amount of love and forgiveness. The Pharisees from this gospel reading were scandalized that Jesus welcomed sinners, tax collectors, and prostitutes. They were scandalized because they wrongly thought that by welcoming them, Jesus showed approval to their sinful ways of living. They were so wrong. Jesus welcomed them like that father from the parable, not to tell his children that it is okay that you left me and went away, or that it is okay that you committed a terrible sin. Nothing like that. The father welcomes back his prodigal son with great joy to forgive him, to give him another chance, and to offer him a better way of living, a right way of living. In the same way, Jesus is patiently waiting for each sinner to return to him, to ask for his forgiveness and to welcome them back to the family. The Pharisees couldn't understand. The older brother from the parable also could not understand. That's why he ended up being so angry at his father and at his younger brother. And even though he was always faithful to his father, he ended up also sinning against his father. The story about two sinful people, the story about two dysfunctional children, but both were loved unconditionally by their father. You and I become dysfunctional when we sin, when we run away from God, when we say that we don't need Him because we know better how to live our lives. We become dysfunctional when we become envious of others and when we are judgmental, when we get angry and are unable to forgive. We are dysfunctional when we get angry at God because things are happening according to His will, not ours. But luckily for us, we still have time. We still have the chance to turn away from sin and believe in the gospel. We still have a chance to come back to our loving Father and ask Him to forgive us and welcome us back. Yes, many times we become dysfunctional children, but God loves His dysfunctional children more than anyone else. So let's go to work and God bless you.